Doctor of Thugonomics John Cena on your TV.
Doctor of Thugonomics John Cena?
Gosh.
This was only about... Well, when he came in, he was a babyface, but he was just a pretty bland babyface, just standard nondescript Trunks, Ruthless Aggression John Cena. And then the legend is that during one of the Halloween episodes, he dressed as Vanilla Ice and did a freestyle rap, and Stephanie McMahon heard it and said, "Hey, we've got a character here," and that's how the rapper persona of John Cena was born.
Interesting.
And carried to the point that he even made an actual album. And that's the entrance music he still uses today. Is a song from his album.
Nice.
It's the second entrance music he would use off the album. And a little bit I heard it was a pretty good album. But I heard a very little bit of it too, so I don't want to vouch for the whole thing. He definitely leaned more into the hip hop aesthetic of the time.
What happened?
I don't know. She got an itch.
And then later he just started going, "You can't see me," and that was his whole gimmick.
Yeah, which I mean, he borrows from hip hop as well, but he just leaned more. It just became more of the John Cena hustle, loyalty, respect persona than the real hardcore hip hop persona that he had earlier in his run. And like I say, he started out as a babyface, then he was a heel for a couple of years, and then by like 2004, he was a babyface and never looked back until the current heel run began. Which again is still amazing to me that they would do that in the middle of his retirement tour. And it's hard for me to believe that it's actually something they just chose at the last minute, but at the same time, that's, kind of the story I'm getting. It's kind of hard to believe they would begin this whole retirement tour with that in mind either, so...
Yeah. It was interesting.
I was talking about the last interaction we've seen between Cena and Cody, and one thing I should mention about it, too, the only bit of physicality we've seen between them, aside from the initial angle at the last PLE, was, it was Cody laying out John with just one single crossroads.
Yeah.
And the fact that's the only physicality we've seen and that Cody was the one that got the better of it, I'm a little worried that maybe they're going to switch the title at WrestleMania.
Oof.
And I don't think... I mean, I could see them doing it and then building up to Cody winning it back at SummerSlam because they feel like Cody needs that run, but I don't know. This feels like the era of longer title reigns again. Like, maybe the world title changes hands a little more often, but the guy who holds the WWE title is going to hold it for a good length of time. And I mean, I don't think it's good.
17 years.
I don't think him losing the title or retaining the title is going to affect business any one way. But I think creatively they'd be better off to keep it on him. But then again, I don't know what they have in mind for John Cena beyond that. Here's JBL doing sort of a Texas slam on the Mr. McMahon character almost. As the rich, pompous ass. And like I say, this title reign was 300 days or so.
Okay, I understand why.
This was very lengthy at the time.
But it looks so weird that he doesn't have pants on.
Yeah, well, he's like the athlete coming to the ring. He's got his towel and his warm-up jacket.
Yeah, like I understand why. It just looks weird. Also, I did look up the Peninsula stuff about Michigan.
Peninsula?
Yep.
Sounds like you said Peninsula.
Anyway... apparently in 1833, Michigan had lost land to Indiana and Ohio, and to make up for it, they were given that portion of Wisconsin.
So what did Wisconsin get?
Nothing.
Fucked.
Wisconsin was like, alright,
Fuck Wisconsin.
didn't need it anyway, I guess.
And you know what? After the last election, fuck Wisconsin.
Dylan's over here drawing comics on the
This match will not be particularly long or particularly good, to be honest with you. Like, the outcome was nice. We were pulling for Cena, and it was time for JBL's run to end. But not a great match. See, that belt is not the worst belt. It's not the best either, but it's so much better than what they have now. It's better even than the world title now, but it's definitely way better than Cody's title.
Yeah.
When they brought back the Winged Eagle for the special little bit with Saturday Night's Main Event and Kevin Owens stealing it and going to the ladder match and whatnot, I thought that was a huge mistake for them to bring it back because it just looks so much better than the current belt. Just reminds everybody of how bad the current belt is. The JBL bucks falling from the ceiling. The fake, I don't know if they're dollar bills or $100 bills or whatever, but with JBL's picture in the middle.
Interesting. Interesting choice.
I think they've done stuff like that for other wrestlers too. Maybe even for the it would have made sense if they did it for the $1 Million Man, but I can't say for sure that
Imagine
they did.
the setup and everything for it.
But I feel like JBL's not the only one who's had the fake money coming down. There's a shot of it right there.
I don't remember what Sabrina Carpenter's confetti was. Obviously not wrestling related. Olivia Rodrigo did something neat, but I can't remember. Maybe.
Yeah, she's a wrestling fan, but she's like a fan of really obscure wrestlers. It's got like the California hippie Mike Boyette on it or something. Wait, though, she doesn't really seem to know that much about things that came before she was born, so we need like a current obscure wrestler.
And Taylor
John
Swift.
Cena.
It's got Crash Holly on it.
John Cena. Nothing.
I know she's done stars for others, but I think for the Eras show she just did like rectangular confetti in different colors.
Speedball Mike Bailey.
All of her eras. And it was so funny because there was one extra color and everybody thought that the extra color was orange, like representing this theory of an unreleased album, but then she released Tortured Poets Department and it's like, oh, that was for Evermore. And the extra color was the white one for Tortured Poets Department.
Evermore.
Everybody was mad at her for forgetting Evermore. Meanwhile, they kind of did too. I mean, they didn't. They just labeled it wrong. No, you're not, 'cause I'm looking stuff up.
The chain that John Cena's wearing, the big medallion, is just sort of de rigueur for hip-hop. But the chain, the big chunky chain, like actual chain, not necklace, but it's an actual chain. The one other person I've seen wear that was Tretch from Naughty by Nature, who was famous for wearing a big chain with the padlock on it.
Yes.
And Cena, like I said, would adopt it as part of his persona. Wrestling and sneakers, like old school Reebok pumps too, man, with the big basketball on the tongue that you pumped up to get a better fit.
Interesting choice.
I know, Nike would do their own version of pumps as well. I think the David Robinsons were the first ones they did. I never had a set of pumps.
When did we acquire Texas and all that?
Wait, we own Texas? Why the fuck aren't we making better use of it?
You knew what I meant. Also, if this seems
No, the funny thing about this matchup is now John, with his current hairstyle, I keep thinking he looks like JBL's younger brother or older brother or what have you. He looks like another version of JBL with the current haircut.
Yeah.
So look at JBL. Tell me that John Cena doesn't look like JBL's younger brother with the current haircut.
Yeah.
According to this, at the time of the whole peninsula stuff, that entire area was Michigan. Wisconsin wasn't a thing.
I wouldn't know. Is that Nick Patrick refereeing this match?
I don't know.
Nick Patrick's probably the most famous of the WCW referees, either he or Randy Anderson. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Nick Patrick came over and worked for the WWE for a while.
Yeah.
I guess you could put Charles Robinson in there, and Mark Curtis too, of course, a.k.a. the late Brian Hildebrand.
I'm trying to type in when did Wisconsin become a state. Google's recommended fill is when did Wisconsin became a state.
I'm sorry.
When did it became a state?
Oh, Google was supposed to be the smart one.
Well, let's hope not.
Oh, wow, yeah. According to this, Wisconsin did not become a state until May 29th, 1848.
Still a long time ago.
Well, yes, very long time ago.
I thought you were about to whip out something like, yeah, Wisconsin become a state until like 92. Which I know is not true or even close to it.
Yeah, the last states were in the 50s.
The way you were speaking, it seemed like you were going to reveal something shocking.
Alaska and Hawaii became the last states in the 50s.
And, I think we talked about this, but maybe we talked about this on one of our GeoGuessr streams at twitch.tv/Vidiocy if you want to check them out. Or, of course, VODs over at youtube.com/@VidiocyTV. But I believe one of those states, probably Alaska if I had to guess, was like it was a state, and then it wasn't, and then it was again. So like at one time, one of those was the last state, but then the other one stopped being a state and became a state again, so then it became the last
I
state.
think you're correct about it being Alaska. I vaguely remember this.
Something like that anyway, or close to that.
Let's see.
That bottom rope looks kind of loose. I need to tighten that up.
Maybe. Let's see.
JBL's almost got a camel clutch on Cena, but in the rope, so of course he's going to have to break it. Because this is not a ladder match or any other sort of no DQ match.
I don't know what the art is.
Ouch. Wasn't like anything super painful. He just kind of smashed his face against the
It was
mat
more of
for
his
a bit.
upper. Well, Matt, no, he catapulted his chest like into the.
Yeah, he did, but like he was moving or rolling or whatever, and he just kind of pressed his face up against it a little bit as he was moving.
I don't want to get this wrong, but I'm pretty sure the WWF's ropes are actual ropes with just tape around them. And like WCW, I think used like steel cable with tape around it. I could have that backwards, but I think in WWF/WWE, it's actual ropes.
Alright. Okay, I know we've researched this before, but I cannot find it right now.
The state thing.
Yeah.
That's okay. You should probably just focus on the match at hand.
Probably, but that's gonna be annoying.
There's somebody in the crowd with a wrestling mask on, like a lucha style mask.
Nice.
See the blue mask?
Yes.
Left side of the screen. He's off screen right now.
John Cena's wardrobe is very casual. Especially compared
He's also
to
wearing a
several
belt,
other
by the
people.
way. I complained about earlier. We should bring that back up.
Makes sense that he'd wear it with the jeans, but
Yeah, definitely. You have to get the right fit on those jeans for them not to come down in the match or be too tight.
yeah, that'd be tough. Very, very special tailored jeans. Tailored practically every night he wrestles.
Why would you want Taylor Swift jeans when you're wrestling? I'm sure some people would like to get into Taylor Swift's jeans, but I'm not sure they'd want to wear them.
I don't know if John Cena could fit in Taylor Swift's jeans.
Yeah, probably not. He might get one leg in.
Could if he tries hard enough.
Well, wait, what are we talking about? Are we talking about him wearing her pants or actually getting into her pants?
I meant actually wearing them.
I think he could probably take Travis Kelce.
Like to dinner or?
He's no longer trying to get with Taylor Swift. He was just trying to get to Travis Kelce through all of this.
There's your thumbnail.
Oh, gosh.
Or not.
Oh, we'll see what happens.
You said you were going to wait until we did the show to come up with the art, so...
Yep. I've got a few options.
What has John got on his shoe?
You're using my iPad, child.
Yeah, I stole it. It's mine now
No,
for
it's
the
not.
temporary moment.
You can have it for $700.
I'll do 7.
7 an hour?
7 a month. Like a paid subscription to use your iPad.
Don't give Apple any ideas.
The sleeper hold, which is a move that has sort of had a resurgence in wrestling in recent years. For a while, it was just a gimmicky spot and just almost a comedy spot, but now it's sort of been reborn, even though they never call it the sleeper hold anymore. They'll call it like the coquina clutch or the choke or something. But it's just a sleeper hold, which, to be fair, maybe a sleeper hold was something else originally, but in wrestling, it's always been a sleeper hold.
Yeah.
And it bugs me when I see people like Samoa Joe use it and they just want to give it this fancy name. And which, I mean, don't get me wrong. Wrestlers rename moves all the time for their gimmick. I don't know. At the end of the day, it's just a sleeper hold. Talk about Cena being casual. I mean, JBL's wardrobe was pretty plain.
Yeah. Definitely plain compared to some of the other guys. But I mean, it's wrestling clothes.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't have an issue with it, but there's at least some personality in Cena's.
That's true.
JBL's like almost Stone Cold, but he's got like that gold cityscape or whatever on the back.
There's a background color you can change.
Oh my gosh.
I'm stupid, okay? Shut up!
I wasn't saying anything.
You're looking at me and I didn't like it.
The one lasting memory I have of this match is after Cena wins, him going out in the crowd and like posing with the crowd with the belt.
Yeah.
Or at least he may not be in the crowd, he may actually be just at the barricade, but him being with the crowd and celebrating his win.
Sounds pretty cool.
Like I said, I remember it being a relatively short match.
Relatively.
This is probably one of the few occasions during any of the periods that they had 2 world championships that the world championship matches actually went back to back. They might have done that in 2004 also, the year before this.
Yeah.
But I remember a lot of times they'd even like start the show with one of the world title matches and then do the other one at the end or have one in the middle. I say, rarely have there been a WrestleMania, or has there been a WrestleMania where one of the world championships didn't main event.
Is he like relying on his foot some to hang on?
Probably. Or his leg wrapped around the turnbuckle there.
Yeah.
Superplex. But yeah, of course, we've got the world title main eventing this show. First WrestleMania, like I said, was main evented by a tag team match with no titles on the line.
Yeah.
And then just about every other WrestleMania has been main evented by one world title or the other. 2012, Rock and John Cena, when they had their first match, there was no titles on the line in that. And
Interesting.
then, 2010, WrestleMania 26, the one we watched the matches from on the last episode, Shawn and Taker main evented that with no title on the line.
Interesting.
But those are the only ones I can think of off the top of my head that weren't main evented by, like the women's world title, of course, main evented WrestleMania. Was it 18 or not number 18 or 19, but 2018 or 2019?
Yeah.
They had the triple threat with Charlotte and Becky Lynch and Ronda Rousey with that horrible finish, but with both women's world titles on the line. But again, still a world title, so.
Yeah. So, which WrestleMania has had the most title matches?
I don't know. I mean, one of the years where there were a bunch of titles,
Yeah.
One of the years where you had 2 world championships, and you had the Intercontinental, and the U.S. title, and a women's title, and you got to think about when the titles crossed over, too, because at times there's been the European Championship, and some years there's been a Cruiserweight Championship, some years there's been 2 tag team titles, again, some years there's been 2 world titles.
According to this, it was WrestleMania 38. They had 6 title matches total.
That was that was one of the 2-night WrestleManias. That was, not last year. Last year was 40.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 years ago.
2022.
Yeah.
Pretty recently.
Yeah. That actually doesn't even seem like that many, to be honest with you.
To be fair, how many matches are at WrestleMania typically?
Well, that was a 2-night WrestleMania as well,
True.
so. Oh, he's got JBL up for the attitude adjustment. Is that going to be enough to finish it? It was. And there you have it. John Cena's first World Championship victory.
Nice.
First of 16. Maybe 17. If you're watching this after WrestleMania 2025.
Yeah.
There's the You Can't See Me. And here he goes out into the crowd, like I said. OVW sign.
Okay.
We talked a lot about OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Yeah.
Or John. He didn't get a start there. He started out wrestling California. He wasn't wrestling against the state. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's
Wrestling the
a friend of
entire
John's
state.
or a family member or just
I
a
could
fan
wrestle
he gave
an
the
entire
belt
state.
to. But he started out wrestling in Cal. Yeah, there's the scene that I remember him in the crowd with the belt.
Nice. That's pretty cool.
But his run with the WWE at least started with Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Like 20 years later, he's gonna win and recreate that.
Well, if he wins, he ain't gonna go in the crowd.
True.
He's the heel, so.
True. He wants nothing to do with the crowd now.
Yeah, he's made that clear. Again, the character. We're not talking about the actual person.
The actual person would probably love it.
However he feels or doesn't feel about the crowd, I fully believe anything he's saying is just the character.
It's all the story he's being paid
He bit
to
the
sell.
belt. Look at that.
I see.
Like, is it real? Okay.